Hey, it's Steve Barcelo. As you guys can hear, I still have a little bit of this cold. I just don't seem to be able to shake it. I think the fact I've been running around up and down the East Coast doesn't help things any in and out of cold. And so I apologize for this. Right now I'm talking to you guys from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Today is Saturday. I left New Jersey this morning. I was there for 2 days. My dad's funeral, burial. My dad passed away. Thank you all for the wishes and stuff and condolences you guys have been giving me. It's been phenomenal. But he passed away last Tuesday. I was on my way down to see him in Florida, even though I was asked not to come. I figured I'd go down and see him. And I didn't even get out of North Carolina, and I got a phone call that he succumbed. 98 years old, passed at home with his wife. That's the way to go. I mean, don't want to be in a nursing home or hospital or anything. I don't think he was any pain or anything. I think he was fairly comfortable. His wife Cheryl was playing his music and opera and stuff he likes. So that's it though. I'm not gonna go any more into that. I've talked about it a few times. But wrap that up. Now on the way back, I did not want to go down 95. It was horrendous. So on the way back, I figured I wanted to take a little leisurely, just clear my head. I did get a lot of paperwork done. Ugh, my back's killing me too. While I was on the road at the hotel. The town of New Jersey I was in, there wasn't a lot to do. There was a cute little place down the road, a market that had an Amish thing in it. So I went there and got some food and a lot more sweets than I should have eaten. Worked on a lot of chapters for the book that I'm trying to put together. I've got basically 7 chapters at this point. And since I've been here, I just got stuck driving. It's funny, I get into town here, I'm gonna post a little video on that. And I get into Gettysburg and going, what the heck is going on? Why is it so packed here? And there was a parade today. So first I pull into the square and I see some protesters there with this, FI stuff. And I go, maybe it's a huge protest. I mean, they got concrete blocks in the road. I mean, this is crazy. Well, no, it's, I think Founders Day Parade or something. I've got it. I sent it to myself. You can see the bags into my eyes. I'm tired. But so I couldn't even get to my hotel for at least 2 hours. I had to park up in one of the overflow parking lots for the cemetery and then walk down here and check in. So I said, what the hell? I might as well watch the parade and film it. So I'll probably put a parade video together just for the heck of it. It's pretty cool. It was tons and tons of reenactors. And because of that, that's why all the hotels are filled. And I was looking up price and going, why is it so pricey? It's off season. Well, it's because it's a big event. I was able to get the hotel I wanted. I was able to do it. I got like one of the last rooms here. And it's a nice room. Matter of fact, if you want, I'll show you real quick. It's pretty big. There's Christmas on the bed. My worldly belongings, my office on that bed. Bathroom. You can see it's decent size. It's nice. The ice machine's right around the corner. There's a bar right on the site called The Cave. I'll probably wander over there later if I'm feeling up to it. I just cracked myself a cold beer. So I need to have something to drink so my throat's going. Anyway, let me get on to the subject I want to talk about. So I'm all over the place here. All right, I want to do a little bit more talking about the Gilgo, the Long Island serial killing, Dr. Peter Hackett, Joe Brewer, Shannan Gilbert stuff. Since I posted some videos, I've gotten some responses back, some on YouTube, some just messages to me, thanking me for doing these and going forward, but asking questions. One of the ones that was asked, hang on a second, I got little notes here. So I'm doing a revisit here. So it's not going to be a long video, at least I don't think so. One of the questions was asked, this was on YouTube, how did Shannan Gilbert's phone end up in the hands of Peter Hackett? I discussed that a little bit from what I heard. You got to remember, now, I'm talking from my experience from being there. The first bodies were found. Literally, John Malaya was out there with training exercise with the dog Blue, the cadaver dog. And he literally was putting a tube out there that had body fluids in it. And this is a normal training exercise. So one of the officers would touch the tube and place it because you don't want to get cross-contaminated. Then they would take the dog out. The dog would run along the shoreline there, or in this case, it's the bay side along the brush. And the dog should hit on this, and then he would alert and notify his trainer. In this case, the dog ran past and hit on something else. They go up and it turns out it's a body. And that's when the story first starts. Body found at the along the Ocean Parkway. Like I said, we were called in. The media gets a press conference. It's a story, but it's not like a major story at this point. But they go back. I think it was like 7 days later now. I'm trying to get more of the timelines together. It's been so long since I worked these stories, and so it wasn't that long. I thought it was longer. I think it was only like 7 or 8 days later. He goes back to have Blue hit on the same spot where his body was decomposing, and the dog runs by and hits on 2 more bodies, I believe. Now, somewhere I read 3. I remember 2. And anyway, that's when the story really breaks. And, all of a sudden now we've got a dumping error. I just apologize. I'm moving the phone. I just moved everything to show you the room. But that's how it really broke for us. So now we've got this really crazy story going on. We're trying to get more information. At this point we didn't know they were young females. We didn't know that they were wrapped in burlap or anything of that sort. Little things leaked out. We heard burlap, and it was much, much, much later. After, I think it was even just before the 911 phone call came out, we found that was camo burlap, and then the belt came out and all these other things. Anyway, about that time too, now with the first finding the bodies, these stories came out about a missing sex worker at Oak Beach, Shannan Gilbert. We didn't know anything about it. I did know people in Oak Beach. I had access there, and I ran into even more people that lived there that I didn't know lived there, that I knew from the community. So it gave me an edge. Like Joe Brewer, I knew him in the neighborhood. Ended up becoming a little bit friendly with Dr. Peter Hackett. And then, of course, the Scalise family. Almost didn't say that right. And what was the other family? I can't think of it. I'm missing the name now. And then, of course, the Entenmans, which we all knew from the area. I knew owned the Entenmans bakery and stuff. And the other name would come to me. I should have wrote it down. Anyway, so basically going to Oak Beach, banging on doors, asking questions. So this is where I'm answering things from. What I was told by people in the beginning, well before we knew this was going to blow up to be a huge story, and here 16 years later we're still talking about it. But I don't think it's going away anytime soon. So the phone now, the belief is, all kinds of weird messages here. That's my other phone. So the belief is that Shannan, running out of Joe Brewer's house on a 911 phone call, looking for help, saying that someone's chasing her, someone's trying to kill her, all this sort of stuff. Banging on Gus Coletti's door, and there's questions on that too. I'll go into it. Anyway, ends up at Barbara Brennan's house. Barbara Brennan does not answer the door, and she calls 911 too. I was told at the time that she called Peter Hackett, and Peter Hackett, Dr. Peter Hackett, is kind of like the do-all of the neighborhood. He got involved with everything, which is what the police claim, how he got involved with this, reaching out to Mayor Gilbert, making a phone call, that sort of stuff. But anyway, I think that's how he ended up getting himself involved in actually making contact with Shannan Gilbert. This is my belief. I have no way to prove this. I don't think anyone can prove this right now except for maybe Peter. And maybe there's possibly another witness out there. I don't know who else, if Peter was by himself or not. And that's a question. There's some other people, I think, that are involved there. But let's stick with this, a little bit we know somewhat from what people told us, and Peter telling me stuff. Peter admitted to me that he saw Shannan. He stood on the jetty in front of his house, pointed out to the ocean side, which is, there's a bridge there, so it's still a channel that goes through. And the water moves through pretty quickly, very swift. I said, Steve, last time I saw her, she was on the jetty heading that way. I knew from her mom, Mary Gilbert, that she couldn't swim and she was afraid of water. So that didn't make sense to me. And I already heard stories about Peter Hackett liked to traverse the property behind his house and the swamp over there, which is very passable. Like I said, I'm from the area. We used to go to Gardner's Park as kids and walk through the swampy area, so it's not like it's undoable. And I did do it with Johnny Ray in 48 hours. We went out there. That's another story. But basically, I believe she met Peter Hackett, Peter Hackett, I've talked to him multiple times. He's an intelligent guy, easygoing, easy to talk to. He's very easy to, I can see him easily disarming someone, as far as someone in Shannan's case being very upset and confused. I'm a doctor, come with me, it's okay. And especially since he claimed to Mayor Gilbert, her mother, that he gave her a sedative. If that actually happened, and that wouldn't surprise me. And you can see her, I don't know what her world of drugs was. Supposedly she wasn't heavily into any kind of drug use, but maybe in that case she felt something would take the edge off or whatever. But if he gave her something, that kind of makes all the more sense. And now, of course, he makes a phone call, I think it's not the next day, the day after, to Mayor Gilbert, saying that he runs a home for wayward girls, and Shannan was with him. He gave her a sedative and wanted to make sure she made it home all right. So there's too many things there. So that's the belief, though. Unless there's someone else involved, I believe he ended up with her and her belongings. I think something went awry, and either she wandered off on her own, which I kind of doubt, and just wanders off into the swamp behind his house, quite a distance now, almost all the way up to the parkway, and then just lays down and decides to give up and dies. And scantily dressed at this point. And then as the police say, shedding her clothes and having hypothermia and stuff like that, and just I don't think the temperatures are right, and it was way too warm. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And there wasn't enough water in there to drown. But anyway, I think what happened, especially since Mayor Gilbert was with me in the parking lot when they found her personal belongings, and she came back to me and said they were like pristine, like they've only been there for a day or so. And then 7 days later, they find Shannan's body, skeletal remains. So something's wrong. So this is my belief that either Dr. Peter Hackett had her stuff or someone else did and had it. So that's where the phone comes in. Now, he makes a phone call to Mayor Gilbert. And, remember, Shannan doesn't live with Mom. Shannan lives with her boyfriend in New Jersey. Mom lives up in Ellenville, New York, Shannan Gilbert. So she gets the call, she's confused. So, so for someone to say, oh, he got the number from Pac, or, someone else, it was a Diaz, the boyfriend, then he would know that she didn't get home all right. I mean, the whole story just doesn't make sense otherwise. The only thing that makes sense is that somehow he was in contact with her, had her belongings, something happened, something went awry, and I think the phone call is more or less a cover story. I mean, that's my belief. I mean, I can't say for sure, but all the years I've worked this story, every time I've gone through these videos, gone through all my hard drives and stuff, and what I've heard, that just seems to follow suit. There's too many other things that just don't make sense. So I think that's where he ended up with the phone. If you have a phone, like even my phone, my dad who just passed says Dad in it. That's how I look it up. It doesn't say Joseph Lewis Barcelo, it says Dad. Most people have that, would be Mom or Mom's cell or whatever it's going to be. And so I think that's all he saw was Mom's phone number, called it, and for whatever reason, and it was off to races, implicating himself. And he didn't stop there. I mean, he talked to other people in the community about it. I mean, kind of playing the hero and stuff. So that's one of the things I'm answering here for that question. And there was another one too. What was the other question? How did Joe get a hold, or who called in? I think this is the same, might have been the same person, this one here on YouTube. How did Shannan get called to Oak Beach? That was Joe Brewer. He told me that he liked a pro. I love a pro. And he would always go on about that. And how he like to get the pros in. And he told me how they like to have basically be a party. Be multiple people, and the sex worker is kind of the party. It would involve Viagra and whatever other stuff they were dabbling in, some alcohol. And that would be the event. So she was called in, I believe it was Craigslist. It could have been another site. I don't remember for sure which one they used because I was pretty new to it back then. I knew of Craigslist. I didn't know it was used for sex work at the time. I learned a lot working this story. So, but yeah, Joe definitely was the one that reached out. However, whatever means he used, I believe it was Craigslist. And got Shannan to be brought out there, and that's she had a driver. Now there's a lot of different versions of how she got in. You know, I believe she was an independent. She had her own driver, but now I've been told by other people they don't believe that she's might be connected with an agency that's actually taking the money up front and then sending the girl out with a driver. But other things that were asked to me about the belongings. Now, I was there when the belongings were found. Like I said, Mayor Gilbert came out, and I did talk to Jimmy Burke, too, and he confirmed some things. You gotta remember, I was friends with Jimmy Burke. Used to go drinking with him. He invited me to the Suffolk County Police Christmas party and stuff like that. So I was fairly tight. I mean, it's my job to network. And I remember one of the things he corrected me on. He said, no, it's lip gloss, red lip gloss. And but it was, I know, shoes. I think they were like ballerina shoes that Mayor Gilbert told me. I believe her like leggings sort of thing. There was a phone. There was like a little purse with money. I was told there was money in it because I thought that was, this is like what she's there for. Money, the phone was her lifeline. These are things she just wouldn't have discarded, even if she was in some kind of state. It makes no sense. That's what makes me think something happened. She was incapacitated to lose these items. But, and there were a few other items I can't for the life of me remember what they were now. And I've looked up online, and unfortunately, over the years, there's so many non-factual things that have been put out over and over again. So I'm trying to rely on what I remember, what I have, the notes I've gotten from way back there. Now, I'm sure I've had a lot of really, really important and good stuff that was told to me over the years that I just don't recall. And that's why I love sitting down with someone like Johnny Ray or John Alberson or anyone I worked with back in the day and just talking, and somebody will say something and go, oh, that's right. And vice versa. I can say something and trigger something they say. And we just remember things. Because you got to remember, we were doing this every day, 7 days a week. So, we're working this story. A lot of times we work multiple stories a day, or I'd be done with one story and then go over to Oak Beach just to check on things. I lived in Bay Shore, so I was right around the corner. So if I had a slow day, a lot of times I might just wander over there. Like when I found the dolls along the Ocean Parkway, the timeout dolls, I was just driving down the Ocean Parkway, go, what the heck are these things? That's where the families had the crosses, and then I stop, I'm taking pictures, I'm checking them out, I end up calling the family, I called Mayor Gilbert, I called, who else did I call? Missy, I believe, and I think I might have called someone else. And then they call each other, and you see if anyone put these out there, and they said no, and But that's how it goes. You got to be boots in the ground. So anyway, I'm just trying to answer some things here. If you got questions, please put them in. I'll do my best. I have some others. Of course, I left those notes over on the bed, and I'm already at like 17 minutes. Yeah, so much for being a short video. So I'm going to wrap this up now, but thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'll keep this going. I apologize that I'm on the road. I'm dealing with family matters, and I'm still sick. I don't believe I'm going to spend another day in Gettysburg. I'm probably going to hang out here, get a little more paperwork done. I'm going to probably see if I'm even up to editing a video of a parade, because I have a ton of clips on that, and that'll take a while. It's a cute parade. And a lot of drums and horns and flutes and stuff like that. So fun stuff. See how the audio is. But that being said, thanks for watching. And once again, thanks you guys for all the best wishes for my dad passing and stuff. And I'll talk to you all soon. I'm not going to edit this. This is going to be another talking head one. I'm just going to upload it. I'm just too pooped, too tired, and I just want to get this up because I want to answer some of these questions. If I do spend another day here, which I doubt, I really need to get back to Littleton. I'll put stuff out there. If not, when I get back to Littleton, I'll just be back in my normal routine, knocking things out there. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Everyone be good to each other.